Hello again. Week 12 is wrapping up, and you've been working on putting together your Google Sites, getting to figure out how to work together as a group, and also have been working on your template and outline for your white paper. And so we're moving into week 13. Week 13 is a week for you to get a lot of work done as a group. So make sure that you're managing and using your time wisely. Thanksgiving is coming up the following week, and then we only have really a few more weeks left in the semester, so things are going to go seemingly very quickly from here on out. So making sure that you're communicating with your group and accomplishing the tasks that you need to by the times that you need to. So for week 13, again, make sure that you're working efficiently on your white papers, doing research on that. And the research, I wanted to clarify that make sure that you're not just doing general research out on Google. You can certainly find some good things on there, but at this level of academia, you should be using more scholarly sources within journals within the field that the topics that you're researching on. So therefore, that's going into those databases that are provided for you in the NDSU library, for example, and looking into journals, business journals, or scientific journals that relate to your topic. You're going to find much more higher quality research and more empirical data that will support your claims. Also, don't forget about keeping your presentations. Some things I wanted to clarify there. I didn't make this completely clear. That you should be designing those using the Google presentations. It's Google's version of PowerPoint, essentially. It works very similar. You've started using Google Docs, so you've become familiar with the formatting of that. But just in case, I've posted, I'm in Blackboard right here. I'm in the course content area for week 13. And I've posted just this guide on how to use Google presentations, so you can refer to that if you have any questions. Again, it's quite user-friendly and intuitive, at least I think so. I've opened it up here just so you know what it looks like. Okay, if you need that. Some other things. I have posted this, it's called Technical Writing Best Practices, but it really refers to generally business writing best practices as well. I'm going to open that quickly here. I'm not going to read through it word for word, but it's just really a short guide on highlighting some best practices and some common writing issues that I've seen in people's writings. So this is what the document looks like. You can keep it as reference. In general, in practice, in your current job or in your future job, to be an effective writer and communicator, it's good to have a list of references and guides that you can fall back on when necessary, whether or not you keep your textbook. I hope you definitely keep the non-designer design book. I think that's a very helpful reference for you. But here's some other recommended further reading if you want to check them out. The first one you might find quite humorous. It's called The Bullfighter. It really helps you eliminate jargon within your writing. The one that I really like and refer to a lot is the Dictionary of Concise Writing. It's basically a reference book, a list of phrases that eliminates wordiness into more concise structuring of your sentences. This one you've probably seen a lot of people recommend it in the past probably. It's The Elements of Style by Strunk and E.B. White. This is one that writers in any field rely on this style book. The Expert Resumes, this one is for the engineers, but they also have one for every type of field. So they have one for managers and executives. I think they have one for nursing. And so they have a whole series of expert resumes, and they have examples in there. So as your career progresses, it's nice to have examples of your resumes so when you need to revise in the years to come. Grammar Girl is a very friendly, user-friendly, and written in plain language of basic grammar skills. Plain language we've talked about in the past, and produce L was always a good one to keep in mind that we've talked about before. And I've structured this just into the different writing process, so the drafting stage, construction stage, proofreading, and so on. I'll highlight just a couple of things. Always do not ever forget your audience when you're writing. This sets up so many different things within your writing. It determines your development. It determines possibly the formatting or the medium that you need to use. You're constantly assessing and reminding yourself, who's my audience? What do they need to know? What do I need to explain to them? And it's always safe to say that never assume that they know exactly what you mean. So avoid being very vague or a lot of assumptions. So avoid ambiguity, as I posted down in the construction stage. They might have the same degree as you, they might work in the same department as you, but they might not have all the information that you are working with. So you never want to assume that they know exactly what you're talking about. Consider your format and organization, that it's first off user-friendly, but also that it's consistent. Use a template. Don't be afraid to use those templates, especially when you have a document that you need to set up a table of contents or an appendix or a reference page. Doing this freehand just usually gets people into trouble. Using a template is going to allow for consistent margins and everything's lining up appropriately, and there's consistency throughout your whole document. Do not use contractions within professional writing. If you ever need to include a warning or a process or step, make sure that you clarify that. Make sure that you're including visual aids to support your ideas and clarify your ideas. Make sure that your section titles or headers are always consistent and they're descriptive, yet they never are written in full sentences. They should be just a couple words, 2 or 3 words. That you have consistent font size, all your headers are the same, that you're using page numbers, and that you are labeling your graphs or your visual aids within your document at all times. Make sure that you're defining terms. Always clarify abbreviations. Do not ever start a sentence with acronyms or an abbreviation. Consistent naming conventions. Scrolling down quite quickly here, again, I'm not going to read through all of this. Time management. As I said before, always allow enough time for each stage of the writing process so that you have enough time to do your research and brainstorming, time to do revision, and then you're not rushing towards the end. That just causes a lot of stress, a lot of frustration, and it also just, quite frankly, reflects in the quality of your end product. Some common glitches. Avoid wordy sentences. Make sure that you have subject-verb agreement, that you're staying in the same tense. Generally, you're going to want to write in present tense. Some common confused or misspelled words. I've listed just a few here, the most common ones, at least that I see. These aren't all of them. Like the possessive form of its or not possessive form. Factoid, I see this floating about. It's not a word actually, so don't ever use that. An overuse or misuse of literally. It's probably most cases, probably 99% of the time, people really need to be using the word actually instead of literally. Regardless, that is the proper word. You should not ever be using irregardless. That one just seems to be sticking around, and it's been used improperly. So these are just some common things for best practices with your writing. And of course, refer back to your text, and if you have questions about it along the way, use your peers for proofreaders. Always rely on someone else to look at your writing. Also good practice to step away from your writing, even if it's for a few minutes, come back with a fresh set of eyes, and usually you find your errors much better that way. Okay, so that concludes the recap for week 13. Again, if you have questions while you're working on your white paper or your Google site, or if you've gotten started on your presentation slides. I'll be sending out information more about your presentation slides in the days to come here, but if you get started, and if you have questions, let me know. And lastly, those of you who shared your Google Sites with me already, I've seen some really good progress so far, so I've been pleased with that. Looks like you've been following the instructions that I sent you. You do need some more development, of course, so I expect to see a lot of changes by the next time I go in and look at that. So I'm excited to see what you've done with that. And don't forget that you need to have that calendar on that front page. And it's not just a copy of the syllabus, that it's unique to your group milestones and due dates. So again, that concludes the recap video for week 13.